having a baby around this time with modern medicine and critiques and stigmas from society and the crazy amount of C-sections that we have now that are unnecessary, it's very possible that you have a sacral chakra block that you have never even touched or knew that was there because of the chaos that modern medicine has created in this birthing process. We as women can get severely traumatized and almost feel like birth or pregnancy in general was something that was done to us. Almost like we can be traumatized by birth, and it's not necessarily the natural part of the birth. It's because there's so many people and drugs and machines that are involved that kind of counterbalance or mediate one another. If you were the type of mother that had what's called a cascade of intervention, where like one drug is making you go into labor, yet it's so painful that you have to up the medication for the pain reliever, which stops the pushing, so you up the Pitocin, and then there's so much that modern medicine creates as far as traumatic experiences on our body that we are not naturally ready to handle. So if you've had a baby, and I'm just going to say, if you've had a baby in a traumatic way, which literally can just be you going for what's called a normal delivery in the hospital, even being put on Pitocin, having your water broke, like those are all very, I'm going to say, unnatural things because they do happen naturally. If you didn't get to process your emotions, if you were, had to stay strong and you were in all this pain, and then all of a sudden the baby was on you and you were meant to be happy and forget about everything that you just went through, just remember, like, you have some shit to heal. Like, your sacral chakra can still be blocked from the pain, even from, like, for example, I got stabbed in my right arm probably 20 times by someone that's trying to put an IV in my arm. And she missed about 20 times, and they had to call another nurse, and I had so many bruises in my arm as I am probably 7 or 8 centimeters dilated. That experience can be traumatizing. So what I had to do was this sacral chakra cleanse, and I'm going to tell you just a tidbit of what I did. So I sat in a space, in a place that I could yell and nobody would hear me. Think about childbirth, like yelling, whether you wanted to yell and you didn't, or you yelled really loud and someone said something about it, whatever. Fuck them. And I need you to be in a space that you can feel comfortable screaming in. Screaming, if you have to, screaming. And I typically try to find some type of meditation music associated with the sacral chakra, but it just has to feel good to you. It just has to flow well. If it doesn't flow well and doesn't feel good to you, it's just not going to work. So then you're going to sit there with your eyes closed, and I want you to bring your attention to your uterus, okay? Bring all of your attention to your uterus, and I want you to envision like this red spiral. Picture any type of flower. I always picture a lotus flower, and just see it spinning. Now, when you see it spinning, I want you to start to breathe almost like in a Lamaze type of way. Like, we know we never do this, but like, in order to bring back the trauma, we have to breathe this way. So it might look something like this. Almost like it's almost like it's putting me back in a stressful type of breathing situation or heart rate that was similar to when I was giving birth, or in that very adrenaline rushed atmosphere. And I want you to just start to picture that day. Just start to picture it, whatever moment comes up, and allow it to play out. Now, I want you to think about like the things that happened to you that you had no control over and what you would have done instead. And for me specifically, here's an example. I remember the very, very last birth, which I barely made it to the hospital. I opted for no drugs, which they couldn't believe, but it was so fast. I knew it was going to be so fast. It was back labor. I basically was standing up, pushing her out before they were ready. And I was screaming so loud. It was so much pain. But I knew I needed to just let it out. So I was screaming a lot. And then when she was delivered, they went to put her on my chest. And I was like, I've been through something worse than a car accident. Give me a minute, like, please. She has a father right there. Like, give her to somebody else. And like, they looked at me weird, and I was just like, I ended up taking her. I ended up taking her and putting her on my chest. And in that moment, I almost wish I would have been able to just like sit and cry in the corner and like sob and mourn and get over that very painful, traumatic experience that I just went through. Not to mention that it was during COVID when the hospitals were shut down and I had to walk through a hospital, walk through myself while I was like 6 centimeters dilated. And I couldn't see my husband for another hour, which was just at the moment that I started pushing. So it was all very chaotic, but a lot of us, you know, if this works with your most recent and you have more children, try it with the other experiences or the other births and see if it brings you and your children closer. See if it changes something between you guys, okay? Because sometimes we can have like energy that we don't realize is kind of blocking us from having the most authentic experience or relationship with one of our children. Okay, so I hope this helps you. This was like super impromptu, but have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for following me.